Hello and welcome to Cyanotype. I am here with Station44, the man himself, Mr. Ben. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, hello. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you for supplying the coffees. You've been such a lovely little interview. We've never had that before, so...
I just thought, like, it's just a nice thing to do. Just be nice.
Yeah, it's exactly what I needed this morning, to be fair. Thinking of it, I got the bus here. I thought I'm looking forward so much to those coffees, so thank you for that.
It's all right.
Your project, Station44, when and, like, how did it begin? Maybe taking us through your discography as well.
So, like... Do you want me to go like way back? Because I've got like,
go on.
So like I've always been like inspired by like vaporwave, especially. Yeah. So like when I was in high school, I just started like making random like vaporwave stuff and kind of just like didn't really do anything with them. But like that was when I kind of like started using Fruity Loops and Audacity to like make music. And then kind of like took a period of like doing nothing. I did make like rap songs at one point, which is like not great.
Can we find them anywhere?
They're privatized on my YouTube, but I might show you one day.
Maybe.
They're
just
terrible.
Exclusive. It's all a learning curve though,
true.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And then like during lockdown, when I just moved into the city centre, I just started picking up like making music again. And that's when like Station44 like came through. I wish I could give you like some sort of like insight to what the name is. I've always liked angel numbers, and 44 is just like a pleasant sounding one. Station, I've not got a clue. So I can imagine that's quite disappointing. But at the time I was like really into crime films and like neo-noir stuff. So that was when I made Shibuya, which is like really inspired by like Gaspar Noé, Nicholas Winding Refn. And it was kind of like, it's like really the only like concept album I've kind of done. Just kind of like someone going through the streets of Shibuya at night time and then essentially being kidnapped and stuff. It's just kind of like, I wanted to kind of make it sound like a soundtrack for like stuff that I was really inspired by at the time.
Fantastic.
So like that was the first kind of thing, and that was like a lot of vaporwave inspired stuff with quite a lot of like ambient and drone stuff, because it's always just what I've really been interested in. Then I kind of like took a little bit of a break, and then I made The Love Hotel. Because I watched this documentary called Tokyo Noise, which is about the noise scene in Tokyo and like BDSM as well. And I just kind of went down like this really weird like rabbit hole of like love hotels in Japan. And kind of wanted to create this idea of like walking through essentially kind of like Japan's version of like the red light district.
Because I don't know what a love hotel is. It might be quite explicit, but if you're...
So it's essentially like it's a hotel, but like it is for like sex pretty much. It was just like a really like interesting thing that I went down this like rabbit hole. And like the whole like idea of like all the titles are kind of like poorly translated like signs that you'd see on the wall, and like there was like blends of like drum and bass and jungle on there, and like a lot of like sample based stuff. It was really fun to make that one. And then I took even more of like a longer break, just because I was like, it was at that point where things were starting to open again. I was like working again, so I didn't really have time to focus on music that much. But I then released 44, which is like my least favorite album that I made. It was pretty much just entirely sample based, just a lot of stuff that I was listening to at the time. But I still had a lot of fun making it. I just kind of wish I did a little bit more with it. Then I moved into my current flat, and it was a bit difficult to like get my PC set up to make some stuff. But when I did, I made a few throwaway stuff, just some random stuff to put on SoundCloud. And that's when I started working on Eden, which is like my most personal.
I was going to say,
because like during lockdown, like I really discovered a lot about myself, and like had like a lot of like gender dysphoria. So it was like quite therapeutic to really describe myself, not necessarily through words, but through sounds. And like a lot of like, that was when I started really getting into ambient and a lot of noise. Because I've always been a big fan of like noise music. So I just kind of wanted to like make this unapologetically me. And it's like loud and noisy but it's also quite tranquil and like peaceful because it was just all the emotions I was going through at the time during lockdown. So like once I got that out, it felt like a breath of fresh air, like a big release. Did a few like EP stuff, so I did New York, which is like my favorite work that I've done.
I was gonna say, I think Tattoo in Your Studio Apartment is my favorite Station44.
Just at the time, I was like really inspired by like Midwest emo, so I kind of wanted to like make a Midwest emo ambient project.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't wanna...
Just like perfect for the winter, I'd say. Like it's just so nice, and like I don't really like to listen to my own music, but like I'll always go back to that, and like I think it's got some of my favorite stuff on there.
Fantastic.
Then I did a 2-track EP, Grit Your Teeth, You Cannot Delete Yourself. Just a bit of fun, like noisy kind of stuff. That was kind of, I just wanted to release something loud and just fun. But now I'm currently in the process of releasing Northern Lights, which is my album out on September 14th.
Lovely. You've got a single just out for that, don't you? Grey Age.
Grey Age, yeah.
What made you choose that as the single to release first? Because I know the album's ready, isn't it? It's ready to start.
Yeah. So Grey Age, the name came from, I was watching like this YouTube video and they brought up the idea of like the term grey age being that point in someone's life when they're a teenager where it's like a lot of like confusion as to what they want to do in their life, and that's sort of like where they want to be in a few years' time. So I kind of wanted to replicate that in a sense of this very like just reflection. It's like the best way I can describe that song is like it sounds like a reflective part of someone's life.
Fantastic.
I just feel like that's a really good way to set up the album. It's like one of my favorite tracks on there, so I really wanted to like showcase that first.
Oh, wonderful. And when can we expect to get that out? What's the date?
September 14th.
September 14th.
Yeah, it's in 8 days.
Incredible. 8 days. Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, can't wait. That'll be on Spotify, SoundCloud, Bandcamp.
So it's going to be on SoundCloud and Bandcamp first because like with DistroKid, which is what I use to like get everything on streaming, I don't pay for the one where I can like set an actual date yet. So I'm just going to get it out there first because the other releases that I've done, I didn't really have a date on them because I would just like send them out to DistroKid and then they'd be out when they'd be out. I kind of wanted to just have this, like treat it as an actual day of being released, if that makes sense. So once they're out on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, I'm just going to get them on DistroKid and they'll be out on streaming at a later date. It's usually like 2 weeks after.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, we can't wait for it. I know.
Thank
it's
you.
going to be fantastic. And you've spoken there about all your many influences and many different projects. Would you say because you've kind of had a very varied sound across a lot of the projects, but is there something that you say is like essential to all projects and common throughout them all?
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Brian Eno.
Yeah.
So a lot of Brian Eno's work, like Music for Airports, and his collaborative album with Robert Fripp, which
fantastic.
is No Pussyfooting.
Yeah.
They're like two essential like ambient stuff. And also just like electronic music in general. A lot of the stuff that I might not really like put into my work, but I'm a big techno fan.
Yeah.
So like kind of the atmospheric techno. So you've got like Ben Clock and DVS1, where it's like very minimal. I like that kind of stuff where it's very atmospheric. It's not necessarily just like drops or anything. It just creates this building tension that I absolutely love.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. Oh, going back to Eden, I know someone asked me the other day, like your profile picture and the Eden album cover. Just before we move on, I was just wondering what the origins of that are.
So I released this, like when I announced the album, I like released a statement about it. It was just a random photo that I found just browsing the internet at one point, and it was like a year before I even started working on the album, and I kind of created Eden essentially as a character. It's like a genderless cyborg, and like it was just a way to use that as essentially as a mascot rather than myself, if that makes sense, because at the time I was never really comfortable to like show my face and stuff like that. I'd only really show my face when I promote my music on my personal account. But like with Northern Lights, it's got like the album cover is the first time that I'm actually presenting myself music wise, apart from like sharing highlights of like DJ sets that I've done. So like this is like Northern Lights is like me at my most like honest and real, in a sense of it is about me right now, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Whereas Eden is like a reflection of the past.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
But it's still a past that you like hold quite close.
Yeah, of course. Like I'll never like. I'm always so open to like to talk about it.
Yeah.
Especially because of how serious it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like gender dysphoria is a 100% a real thing.
Yeah.
And it should be recognised.
Yeah, I think it's so wonderful. You've never even spoken to me about that.
No.
You played my glitched out event gigs, which were obviously all fundraisers. But it's so nice to know that I've also been maybe doing something a bit close to home for you.
Yeah, of course. Like that's why I always wanted to take part in it.
Yeah.
Because it's just such a cool idea and it's such a nice thing to do.
And of course, coming up October 24th.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or can you give us some little teasers for that? I know it's my event too, but I thought I'd leave it to you.
Audio visual experience.
Yeah.
Part ambient set, part DJ set. Just showcasing my friend's work on this like. I don't want to give too much away because it's such a cool idea, but I found a way to like showcase a bunch of my friends' work who are all creatives, and like I'm deeply inspired by the people I am around every single day.
Yeah.
So like I kind of wanted to thank them for that, and finally playing my music to a live audience, and then having a little bit of fun at the end with a DJ set. So
I know you enjoy that. You've done so many like live performances recently. Is there any like highlights, any particular things you remember?
The glitched out event that I did. Because I think that was kind of the one where I really found my confidence in my style of what I wanted to play.
Yeah.
It was just so fun.
There were plenty of people there for you, especially.
It was such a scary thing. But yeah, it was like that. I will always be thankful for that, and I can't like thank you enough for it.
No, I can't thank you enough for performing. It was such a fantastic night. But I know a lot of the people we interview are in like the more queer punk side of Manchester. Do you feel like you've got any like sense of community in your music, or is it you're somewhat isolated? Because there's not loads of people nearby doing the sort of thing that you make. I wouldn't say.
Yeah, I don't really know. The best way I can say it is like I still think it's like early days.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of figuring it out.
Early days, but you've got you've got more albums and EPs than a lot of local bands that I know.
I think like I've always liked the whole like do it yourself kind of like self-release stuff, because like I'm a big fan of like hardcore music as well. So like I like the idea of like the bands just like releasing like a demo or something just like out of their own back and like doing everything themselves. But like I'd love to like kind of connect with artists similar. Hopefully there is like a scene. Maybe I'm just not like aware of it yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the Bleep night at Pier Hat. There's I've heard a lot of similar things to the music you made. There is a kind of an electronic scene. There's the Manchester Electronic Music account on Instagram. I can't remember. I'll put it in the edit now. But there's stuff like that. It's quite a rising scene, but compared to a lot of like the Manchester music scenes I think it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
It's still brewing and growing.
That's what it is. Like I've always wanted to do like a live noise set as well.
Yeah.
But it's like again because I'm like not too sure of like if that's what people would be up for seeing. It's kind of difficult. But if there's a scene, I'd love to be a part of it or even create one myself.
Fantastic.
Just see how it goes.
Yeah,
like I said, it's still early days, but it'd be good.
Yeah. Well, if you had to pick just one of your tunes to showcase to the world, which would it be? It could be off the upcoming album potentially.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I'd say Where I'm At Right Now off Eden. It kind of feels like the most, I don't know how to describe it. It feels very complete. I feel like the best way I can describe that song in terms of the context of the album is it's kind of like to that point where I'm comfortable with myself and understanding. And like once I kind of like made that song, it kind of felt like a breath of fresh air for me.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Essentially like therapy.
Oh, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Music can be therapy.
It's amazing.
I think that's one of the incredible things about it. But I'm just wondering, how did you find your love of pro wrestling again? And was it all doom and gloom?
So I've always been a big pro wrestling fan.
Yeah.
But like I just kind of like fell off watching it for so long.
Oh.
And then during lockdown, I just kind of like picked up watching it, like watching some of the old stuff that I used to like.
Yeah.
And it kind of just made me like feel happy again. So I kind of wanted to make that song as like a little funny like little tribute to it.
It's quite cute. I was listening to it earlier on the bus.
It's just like dumb fun.
Yeah.
Because it's like that album is so like serious. For the most
Sometimes
part.
you need a bit of a
Yeah, and I was kind of like I feel like I kind of found my little I found the piece of me that was missing. And it was pro wrestling. As cringy as it sounds.
Oh, fantastic! What's like when you went into making this album? Did you know it was going to be an album, or do you think maybe let's just write 4 songs and see where it goes? Is that your process, or do you go in with a plan?
I go in with a plan, pretty much. Yeah. Just I usually get like a notepad or just use my notes app and just go from there. Just because a lot of the time it kind of just reflects on how I'm feeling at the moment. With like Northern Lights especially, it's just kind of like a love letter to how I am at the minute, the people I'm around, and just like Manchester in general. Because it's such like a diverse place. And because I've seen so much of it and I've been a part of so much of it, I kind of wanted to like make it as like a love letter to it.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, so you'd say Manchester is quite an influence on your music.
100%. Yeah, just like the times I'd go out and stuff, because I'm so interested in like club nights and stuff like that. Going to venues like Hidden, White Hotel and stuff like that. I kind of wanted to make something that reflects that.
Wonderful, yeah. You've got quite like a group of friends to help you out, it seems. You've got like a nice supportive kind of family around you to help you with, say, album covers and stuff like that. How does it feel just to be so like supported?
I never thought it would like actually happen like that. Especially because it's like I feel more inspired than ever than like I did it like compared to when I was in lockdown. Because I'm around such creative people. Like I've always got something to talk about, and they always want to give like advice or like they want to like collaborate on something. It's so amazing. Gives me that drive to want to constantly work. And it's like I'm like around so many people like Austin and Joe and you, for example, as well. Like just the idea of like you go around and put all these events on, and like it's just incredible. It's inspiring. Like it's such a
You're being too kind. You're being
no,
too
I'm being
kind.
like just brutally honest. Like it's just like it's so cool to be around so many inspiring people, because then it makes me want to do better as an artist and stuff like that.
Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today. Is there anything, do you want to shout yourself out on Instagram or X, Twitter? Whatever people call it.
So X/Twitter is Station44 underscore.
Station44.
And Instagram is 44 Station44. That's everything. I have a music video out for Grey Age. You can find that on Station44 on YouTube. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Good night. Good night. I know. I was like, well, how do I finish?